So today we will see how to connect to database using Python. Okay, we'll connect to database and we will perform all those queries. Okay, insert, update, select queries, and see how we can connect. Okay, so um, SQL query, as I said, is same for all databases, right? Most of the queries, right? 90%, 99% of the queries are same whether you work with MySQL or any other database. Point one. Point two, um, for so those queries are only for database, right? Python doesn't understand those queries. So for example, okay, it's a bad example, but it will help you to understand is, let's say you have to speak to a French guy, okay? Now you want to say hello, right? And you don't know French, right? So what will you do? You will search for the word and you will use exactly same word. So for you, it's like repeating what's there in the book or whatever you saw in the internet, right? You're repeating the same word, right? You don't try to understand what is the word, how it means, right? Because you searched for hello in French, you got the word and you are repeating. So for Python, it is just a text. So SQL queries are text. Okay, just like for us, when we talk about French, for us, just a text, right? Text means what? You say print whatever, it will display whatever, right? Python is not trying to understand what it is. But when you send it to that person, when that person decodes it, he knows that, oh, you're trying to tell him hello, right? Same thing when we send it to the Python, Python will decode the query and run the query. Okay, so point one. Point two, how will Python know where the database is, all right? Because if you are trying to run the query or perform operations on database from Python, Python should know where your database is. See, all these days we were working directly on the database itself. We went to database, we added our query or whatever on the database directly. Okay. So there we didn't have to worry about where the database is. Now we're in Python, right? And Python needs to know where the database is. Okay, point one. Point two, the physical structure of all databases are different, right? Logical structure is same: creating table, creating views, creating stored procedures, adding rows, creating table itself. All these are same, logical. But physical, the way it is installed, where it is installed, the username, password, and the DBA aspect, okay, the admin aspect is different for different database. So how will Python know which database to connect to? Which database to connect to, right? So for every database, the starting part, the connection part is different. Okay. And for every database, again, you have to use different module, right? Each module has a way to connect to a specific database. Now we are working with MySQL, so we will see how to connect to MySQL database. So if you are working with any MySQL database, you have to use what is called as Pymysql. So you say import Pymysql. Okay, so we are importing Pymysql. Okay, great. So with importing of Pymysql, now you have access to functions of Pymysql, which will help us to connect to a MySQL database, not any database. Okay, only to Pymysql database. All right. Okay. Next, we need to make that connection request. Okay. So we know that it is MySQL, but where exactly is the database? Okay. What's the username, password? How do you connect, right? We need to have username, password to connect to MySQL. So for that, you have Pymysql dot, okay, connect. This connect function will help us to connect. And it takes some parameters. Okay. The first parameter that takes is called host. Host is where your database is installed or connected. Okay. In our case, it is on our local machine. So I'll say localhost. If it were on different machine, okay, we would have given the IP address of that machine. Okay, we would have given the IP address of that machine. Okay, but it is on our local machine. So we can say localhost. Then you give the username, user. Okay. For now, let's use root itself. But you generally, in reality, you'll have a different username password which will be given to you by the admin. Okay. So for us, let's use root itself. Okay. Okay. Now, of course, we need to also give the password. So password equal to whatever is the password. Okay. So I have learn SQL. So this is my password. Last thing that you have to give is, okay, which database you want to connect to, right? This is the local host. Okay. So there you have multiple schemas, right? We have, okay. So we have which one? We have employees on which we are working, isn't it? So you say database equal to, okay, employees, right? So this is our connection string and we will save it in a variable. We'll say con str or something, okay, any variable connection string. So this is object, okay. So this, okay. So the entire information, connection information is stored in one connection string object. With this, we will perform all our action. Okay. So with this, we know where to go and connect. It's like you want to buy something. Okay. So first you need to figure out from where should I buy? Which shop should I go to buy? Right? So figure out, okay, this is where I need to go and get my data, right? Okay. Now you need something which will take you there, a vehicle, right? Or, because we need to send the queries to the database. Okay. Insert, update, delete. Insert, update, delete. We only need to send the query. We don't expect anything in return. But if you're talking about select query, okay, select is to select the data, right? See the data in the database. There, you need to even get the data, fetch the data, isn't it? So it is two-way traffic there. Okay, you need to send the query, select, let's say select star from employees. So you have to send the query and also the output you have to bring it to the Python so that we can visualize, we can see it in Python, right? So in select, you have both to and fro, but in insert, update, delete, it's only one way, right? You send the query and changes will be done on the database. Okay. Okay. So let's see how we do it. Okay. Meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll start my MySQL also here parallelly. Okay. So that we can see the difference, okay, or whatever we do here. Okay. It should be reflected there as well, right? So we can verify. So let me start it. You will not be able to see it. Let me start and keep it ready. And of course, when required, I'll show you. Okay. Second. System suddenly has become slow. I don't know. This click is not working. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay. I'm back to program. Okay. I've started my SQL. So my SQL is running in the background. Okay. Okay. So now I need that vehicle, right? That vehicle is called cursor in database language. Okay. And we have a function called cursor to manage that. Okay. Okay. So let's do that. So I need to create a cursor. So I call it as cursor. And this is your the connection string. Okay. Connection string dot cursor. Okay, so all our queries we will send to the database using query, right? All right. Now, next thing, the query that we want to run. Okay, so let's start with insert query. Okay, we want to insert some data. So if you want to insert some data in table, okay, so okay, I'm going to, in the background, I'm working on employees and I'm saying select star from employees. Okay, I want to see the list of columns it has. Okay, okay, now you see. So I told you query is for database, it's just a string, correct? So I'm saying Q1 equal to, or you want to create a table? Let's create a table first. Q1 equal to, okay, create, okay, create table, we can do it multi-line. So let me use triple quotation. Okay, so we'll say create table by EMP. By EMP in the sense from Python EMP we created, just to show you that we can create table from here. Create table by EMP, right? And then here we can give like F name or full name. Let's say we give name only, name, and the name is going to be varchar, isn't it? Varchar 30. Then, okay, you want to have employee ID. So you can say EMP ID integer, right? Integer, and we'll say primary key, right? Full name, and we'll keep one more thing and we will let it be. So let's say we have city, let's say city, and this is also varchar 15, right? So this is a simple create table query, right? Create table name, bracket open, and okay, and then you put all your column data type, okay, um, if any constraints are there, right? So EMP, I'm making it as primary key, name, city, no constraint. Okay, this is query. Okay, so for Python, it is just a string, isn't it? Now we will execute it on. We'll execute it on the database. Okay, so I'm going to say cursor that we created here. Cursor dot execute. Okay, and here you say Q1. That's it. Okay, and connection has to be closed. Okay, so const string dot close. It's always good. Okay, Python will do it by itself, but it's also good practice. Okay, and everything that we'll do will be between, before close. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to run this program. Prog1, run it. Okay, no error. That means it has run successfully. Now let's go to our MySQL, and we used employee database, right? And tables here, right? Now expand the table and right click and say refresh. So see, PyEMP table is created, right? This is what we created just now. Okay, you want to see copy clipboard, or let's say create. Okay, where is create table? Okay, we'll put cursor here and then we'll say create table. Okay, you see this? So we have new table. Okay, and okay, this is create table. Sorry. Don't say create tables. So student, what we want this one, right? Okay, copy to clipboard, or you want to display here. Let's say create table here. Okay, let's do on clipboard only. Create statement, and we will say Control V here. See, create table by EMP, and this is exactly the uh, table that we created from our Python. So see, table has been created. Now let's add some data to this table. Okay, right now if you do select star from PyEMP, okay, and you run it. There is no data, right? EMP ID and name and city all are blank because we have not added any data. We just now created this table. So let's go back to our Python and we'll try to add some data to it. Okay. So table is created. Now even if I try to run it, you get table already existing, right? So it will not create. Okay. Already exist. Okay. So we are done. So we'll comment this execute. Okay. Because we are done with this, right? Now let's write another query. Query to insert. So how do you insert? How do you write? Okay. Insert query. So you say, tell me, what do you write? How do you write? Insert into py_emp. Okay. Now you can give bracket open and list of columns, but here anyway we are, we are inserting to all the columns. We have only 3 columns, right? So let's insert values to all the columns. So I don't have to mention the column names, correct? I can directly say values, and then first one is integer, second one was name. So I'm going to say here, let me use single quote only. Okay, then name and city, right? So I'm going to say Lakshman, Hyderabad. Okay, and then again you run the query Q2, right? This is our Q2. Now when you say Q2, what happens? You run it. Okay, it has run successfully, right? Now since we have put EMP ID as primary key, once again we run it, it should give error, right? No, it is not giving error. It is accepting. Okay. Again, we are running it. Again, it accepted. Again, it accepted. Now let's go back to my, MySQL and see what's happening actually. Why is it not giving error? So new share, come here. And here, if I say select star from EMP by EMP, okay. So you see, there is no values here. How's that possible? There's no value here. You're trying to insert data, right? Okay. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's go and run select. Okay. So I'm going to add another query called Q3. Okay. Equal to, and this time I'm going to say select star from PyEMP underscore EMP, right? Select star from PyEMP and we'll execute this Q3. We'll execute Q3. Now, difference here is when you perform select, it will return you the value as well, right? So when you execute it, you need to save it in a variable. You need to save it in a variable, correct? So I'm going to say here results or something like that. Okay, equal to cursor.execute. Okay, in fact, cursor.execute will not return. Okay, we have another function called fetch all. Okay, cursor has function called fetch all. So fetch one will give you only one row. So if your select is giving you 100 rows as a result, only the first row will be given to you when you say fetch one. Okay, you just want to see if that select is returning any value or not, right? So you can use select one. Okay, I want all the data, so I'm going to say fetch all. So you say fetch all. So result equal to cursor dot fetch all. Now you want to see the result. The result will be stored as a list of tuples. So result what you get here is a cursor object which is of like list. Cursor object is like list and you get list of so entire thing is a list, entire result is a list, and each row of the table will come as a tuple. Okay. So how do you get data from a list? So you have to use for loop. For row in results, okay, print row. Okay, simply we are printing row. Okay, now this is your select query. Now let's run it and see what happens. So see, it is giving us the data. 1 Lakshman Hyderabad. This is what we inserted. Okay, we have, okay. Now let's insert another thing, another value. So here I'm going to say to Rahul Bangalore, let's say. Okay, now you run it. See, you're getting both the record. But when I run it here, okay, it is inserting again and again and again and again, right? It should give error, right? And when I go to our workbench, okay, when we go to our workbench, okay, it is not giving the result here. Here, when I run it, it should give two records, right? It's not giving. What is the problem here? Problem is, okay, when you're performing, okay, connection string, it creates a temporary session for you. And whatever changes that you make in your session is valid only in that session. The moment when you say close, a connection.string close, will come out, whatever you have done is deleted. So as long as you have connection, okay, so if I go here and let's say, if I'm going to the program, okay, and what I'll do is I'm going to hold this program. How do I hold it? So maybe I'll hold it using input. Okay, I'm saying input, simply input, because when I say input, your program is not completed, right? It is still running. Okay, it is waiting for us to enter the data. Now I go, the connection is not, okay, is not stopped. So when I go and when I say select star from EMP, okay, you still don't get, because that information is stored in that session and anybody who's connected to that session will only see. Okay, now let's say all three of us connect to the same database and I'm doing some change. I'm just trying to see. Okay, I'm doing some work. Okay, now you both should not be able to see those changes because those changes I am trying to do it for myself. Those are not the final changes, right? Those are not the final changes. So everyone who connects to database will have a temporary session. And whatever you are doing, let's say I want to test it, I want to see, okay, how it, I have not decided whether to save the changes or not. Okay, I'm just trying to test something. Now, if I'm testing, you both, when you connect and get the data, you should not see that junk data, right? Okay, it's junk because I'm testing. Once I'm happy and I know that, okay, whatever I have done is correct, now I want to save it, the database, so that everybody else can see. So the concept of saving to the database is called commit. Okay. Now let's go back to our Python. So in Python, when you go, okay, now we want to save so that everybody who in the database can see it. Okay. So it's like, database is assuming that you're only playing with it to see, you're testing it basically. Once you are done and you decide, okay, this is the result and this has to be saved for everyone. Okay, then you perform what is called as commit. Okay, so your connection string dot commit. Once you commit, okay, now I'll stop this program and now I run it. Okay, so now I have said commit. Commit will save the data to the database. Now if you go to PyCharm here, sorry, not PyCharm, workbench here, and you say select star from, yes. Now you see data has been saved in the database. Now, when I say commit, you both will be able to see the data in the database. Okay, because I may not want it to be permanent, right? I might be doing some testing, right? So once I am done, when I know that yes, I need to save the changes to the database, that's when you do commit. For create table, we didn't have to do it. Okay, DDL, data definition language, DDL statements, we don't have to do commit. Okay, what we did, DML, data manipulation language, your insert, update, delete. Insert, update, delete are DML, and DML needs commit or rollback. Opposite of commit is rollback. If you want to undo the changes, you say rollback. Rollback and commit can happen until you have saved the data to the database. Okay, I read the testing. I don't want to save it. You say rollback. Okay, but once you commit, you can't delete it for rollback. You have to then go and if you, let's say, I've said commit, but now I realize, oh, I should not have added these to record. I have to go and perform delete on it. So as long as you have not committed, data is not saved and you are safe. Okay. But once you say commit, it's now there in the database. Now, if you have to remove it, you have to go and manually do delete and remove the data. Okay, so commit will save the data to the database. Rollback will not save. Okay, it will remove data from the database, not database, from your temporary session. Okay, it will remove the data from your temporary session, so that when you do commit, only things that, okay, so let's say I do rollback. I did something, I did rollback. After rollback again, I did something, I did commit. So the data within rollback to commit only will be saved. Whatever you did rollback, those will not be saved, right? So let's say I did 10 queries, I wrote 10 queries, 10 DML. Okay, after 5 DML, I did rollback. And then 6 to 10, again, I did something and I did commit. So 1 to 5, since I did rollback, 1 to 5 will not be saved to the database. Okay, okay. What you did commit will be saved to the database. Now, if we go back to our program, and now if you try to run this query again, you will get error. Why? Because 1 and 2 is your primary key, isn't it? So 1 and 2 is already in the database. So you cannot again enter another row with primary key 1, isn't it? This is throwing because the data is now saved. And when you try to save it, it says error. All right. So this is how you perform select. This is how you perform insert. Okay. Instead of insert, you can do create. Sorry, create we have already done, right? You can do update. You can do delete. Okay, and it will work just fine. All right. So this is how you can connect and you can work with database from Python.